All right, so far we have our beat, we have rhythm, we have melody, we have harmony, we have a lot of things put together. But what makes music really interesting for you as an audience member is the things that we call the expressive elements, the things that make the music speak to you. I mean, I could do Twinkle Twinkle here for you forever and bore you to pieces. We don't want to do that. You're going to listen to Mozart do Twinkle Twinkle later, and you won't be bored with his because he'll do a lot of interesting things to it. But one of the things that we can do, even with a simple piece, is to manipulate the tempo of the piece. So what is the tempo? Tempo is the speed of the beat. Speed of the beat. That's really important. It's not the speed of the rhythm. It's not how many notes are happening. It's how fast the beat goes. So I can do the same piece at multiple tempos. If we want to be really fancy and use our Italian properly, we would say tempi. But we can do it at lots of different speeds. So we'll take Jingle Bells to give you a break from Twinkle Twinkle. So that's sort of a moderate tempo, not too fast, not too slow. I could do it. Okay, same melody. I did miss a note, but other than that, it's the same melody. Very slow tempo. I can do it really fast. Nothing changes about the basic structure of the piece. It still has all the same melodic notes, has the same rhythmic relationships. The longs and the shorts are still the same to each other. It's just the beat that changes. So tempo is one of the things that can be very variable. As we start looking at composers, particularly in the Baroque period and the classical period, we'll see that they would put tempo markings on a piece of music that tells the performer how fast or slow this piece is supposed to be. But the terminology is very loose. These are all Italian words that we use, and there are terms in other languages, but Italian is sort of the standard. So we'll start with terms that mean fast. Lots of different words that tell us it's a fast piece. Allegro, presto. Well, that's a word you know, presto changeo. Magicians use that. Fast, happens fast. Let's see, what do we have? A lot. We had allegro, we had presto. We could have vivace, which means lively. So there are multiple terms that mean fast. So you're the performer, you get this piece of music, and it says allegro. Well, how fast is that? It's as fast as you think it's supposed to be as a performer, using what you know about the style of the period, the type of composer that we're talking about, and lots of different things that we look at when we make those decisions as performers. So those are sort of fast terms. Then we have some sort of fast terms like allegretto. You take allegro, you put an etto on the end of it. That makes it a little less of whatever it used to be. We can have medium speed terms like moderato or andante. If you've taken a Spanish class, andante has the same root as andar, which means to walk, so it's sort of a walking speed. But your walking speed, my walking speed might be very different, so even that's not very helpful. But you can sort of figure that andante, moderato, those are medium, sort of normal paces of things. And then we have a whole lot of terms for things that are slow. We have largo, lento, adagio, grave. Grave is spelled like grave, but it's pronounced grave. You think grave, if you're in the grave, you're pretty slow. So that'd be an easy one to remember. So there are lots and lots of terms like that that you will see as we look at titles of pieces, because for about 300 years, a title of an instrumental piece is probably going to have that tempo term in the title. So if you're at a concert and the title says allegro, you can say, okay, I know that's going to be fast, and you'll know to listen for that. And if you're confused about what movement you're on, whether you fell asleep during one and missed it, and you wake up and it's something slow, you can look at your program and say, oh, this says it's a largo, so I'll know that that's a slow movement. This must be where we are on the program. So it's useful to know those terms in terms of listening at concerts and thinking about as you listen to music every day. What would you call the tempo of that piece? Would you say it's allegro? Would you say it's allegretto? Is it moderato? Is it lento? Or one of the many other terms that we have to choose from? All right, so we talked about tempos. There are fast tempos, there are slow tempos, there are things in the middle. But we also like to change the tempo of a piece, especially once we get into the 1800s and 1900s. We really like to have a lot of variety in our tempo. So we could just go along at one tempo, 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 stop, and change tempos. But that's not very musically satisfying for the most part. So we have some things that we can do to change the tempo within the piece as it's going along. One of the things we can do is to speed up. So instead of going from slow to suddenly fast, which we could also do, but many times we will just speed up and then all of a sudden you're at the fast speed. So the term for that is accelerando. Accelerando. It looks like accelerando. So you can remember that because to accelerate means to speed up. So that's an easy one to remember. Accelerando, speed up. In the music, it would just say A-C-C-E-L usually, and that tells the performer, hey, start getting faster here. The other thing we can do is to slow down. And there are actually two sets of words for that. One is retard, which is already an abbreviation for retardando, which just means to slow down. Or you might also see rallentando as a term to tell us to slow down the tempo. So we can speed it up, we can slow it down. Sometimes what a composer wants us to do is, so we're going along, say we're going along at moderato, they want us to slow down a little bit at the end of this section for a dramatic effect. But once we've done with that, they want us to go back to the original tempo. So we could slow down and then speed back up. You know, like we came to a yellow yield sign and we just slowed down to see if anybody was coming, and then we speed back up and go through the traffic. But usually what happens is you'll have the retard or the rallentando, and then it will say a tempo, which looks like a tempo in English, but it's pronounced a tempo, and it just means to go back to the tempo you were doing before you speeded up or slowed down. So retard, rallentando, accelerando, and a tempo, those are things that we can do to the tempo to give us even a little more variety in our musical production.